pleasure to recruit speakers for several talks each year. And also from time to time, I decided to develop some special events. For example, we were given a behind the scenes tour of the renowned National Ballet School in Toronto, where we were allowed to have a peek at several classes in session. And last year I developed a complex treasure hunt at the museum, Royal Ontario Museum, with different versions and a prize. So when I've had speakers, for example, we had a helicopter pilot who flew around the world in 48 days to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday. We had an expert on the microbiome who talked to us about healthy germs. We had a professional cartoonist who talked about how she keeps her creative juices flowing from day to day. Recently, we had an expert on the history and the culture of ancient Egypt who gave us an alternative interpretation of the reputation of the pharaoh Ramses II. And we had a Mensa last year who traveled to Estonia to sing in a mass choir of 30,000 voices. And in fact, he's in the audience again tonight. Our next two talks will be on Thursday evening, September 17. You don't have to write this down, by the way. And on Thursday evening, October 22nd. The publicity will come out either tomorrow or Monday. So do check your spam folder if you don't find it in your inbox, or look on the Toronto Mensa Facebook page if that's how you usually hear about these events. So tonight, our speaker is Peter Sells, who lived and worked in Dubai for 3 years, not very long ago. Peter is the president of NivoNuvo Consulting, offering strategic planning to emergency response organizations in the Canadian Arctic, in Ontario, and in the Middle East. In Dubai, he worked as a fire training consultant under contract to the agency that is responsible for developing and operating the Emirates Civil Defense Academy. For 23 years, Peter was district chief, City of Toronto Fire Services. And for 10 of those years, he was the chief of the Toronto Fire Academy, responsible for the training of firefighters. Peter is also the vice president and chief fire training officer of a company called Fire Rain, based in Napanee, Ontario. Fire Rain produces innovative fire protection products. And this week, they succeeded in getting more of their products into 2 major hardware retailers. So Peter's not letting the grass grow under his feet during the lockdown. While Peter was living in Dubai, he was struck by how different the reality is there from what we would expect from all we hear about Dubai. So that's the focus of his talk to us tonight. So welcome, Peter. It's yours.
Thank you very much. Should I be sharing my screen now, or
sure, go ahead.
Do you want to see my face for a minute?
It's up to you.
Okay. Well, I'll start by showing that I'm wearing a soccer jersey, or football jersey, if you will, from Al Ali, which is one of the teams based in Dubai, and so that's the team crest and the UAE flag that you can see. So I'll share my screen now, and where did my share screen button go?
If you wake up your toolbar, it should be a green button.
Okay.
Let me know if you can't see your PowerPoint.
Just give me a second. There it is.
Okay.
I had just minimized so many things that I couldn't see it. All right, so you should be seeing a picture of myself, title slide, Life in the Real Dubai. And behind me is, of course, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. And it's the tallest building in the world by a long shot. It's about 50% taller than the CN Tower to give you perspective. As Kathleen mentioned, I lived in Dubai for 3 years, essentially 2015, 16, 17, before returning to Canada and moving out here to Kingston, where I live now. And during that time, I was already pretty familiar with Dubai. I'd been going there for a number of years, since about 2008, for smaller consulting projects. It might have been anywhere between a month to 2 months at a time, both Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And so I had some ground knowledge, if you will, of how the society works, how the people interact, what the business culture is like. But nothing really replaces actually living there and going through an entire calendar year of weather, for example, which I'll talk about a little bit. So that's me when I was living downtown for a couple of months, as our company was set up with a business office downtown before we moved out to the academy. You don't build a fire academy downtown, you build it out in the desert, so that you're not bothering anybody when you're burning things. Now, a lot of you will be familiar with where Dubai is, where the United Arab Emirates is, but I thought I would just give you a quick primer on that. United Arab Emirates is right in the center of this picture. So you can see that it's located on the Arabian Peninsula and really at the intersection of Africa, Asia, and Europe. So one of the real advantages of living in this area is when you've got a long weekend or a week off, you can go to a lot of places that are very difficult to get to, or timely, time intensive to get to from Canada. For example, you can go to India, you can go to East Africa, you can go to Turkey, Jordan, Egypt, a lot of places that would be very expensive and time consuming to get to from Canada. So that's where the United Arab Emirates is. Now, so here's a map of the UAE, and the UAE is a federation of 7 emirates. The largest being Abu Dhabi, and you can see on this map that it is by far the largest. Abu Dhabi is both a city and an emirate. So you can think of it as New York City in New York State, or Oklahoma City in Oklahoma State. So Abu Dhabi is a city in Abu Dhabi Emirate. Dubai is a city in Dubai Emirate. Likewise with Sharjah, Fujairah, and the others. So it really just depends on context. When somebody's talking about Dubai, are they talking about the city, the municipality? Are they talking about the entire emirate? And then you just have to have some familiarity on the ground of and some, I guess I said, understanding of context as well. But we're going to be looking at a few areas. Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of the UAE. Dubai, of course, which is the main business center and the largest city in the UAE. The next largest city is Al Ain. Those three make an equilateral triangle, more or less. Al Ain is a very nice place. I'll show you a couple of photos from Al Ain. It is within Abu Dhabi Emirate, and it's on the border to Oman. So there's a border crossing there to the Sultanate of Oman, which is a different country. I'll show you some pictures from Fujairah, which is on the Indian Ocean side, on the Gulf of Oman. So there's a spine of mountains that basically runs down the east coast of the UAE, or close to the east coast, from the top part of Oman through the UAE down into the main body of Oman. So when you drive from Dubai to Fujairah, you're actually going over the mountains and into a completely different climate zone, because it's not the Persian Gulf that influences the climate there, it's the Indian Ocean. And lastly, I'm going to briefly talk about this area down here, which is again within Abu Dhabi Emirate. It's called the Liwa Oasis, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So here I am at work Live long and prosper. What you're seeing behind me is various props and bits of apparatus at the Emirates Civil Defense Academy. And my main function was to design the expansion and development of the physical properties for this training site. We're going to talk about weather. Everybody talks about the weather. Nobody does anything about it. We're going to talk about stuff to do in Dubai and around the UAE. Feed your head. I'm going to just leave that as a bit of a mystery until I get to it. Feed your face. That's self-explanatory. I'm going to look at some of the exclusive and high cost and also low cost meal options that are around Dubai. Cars. And you probably can guess what car that is, but I'll talk about that in a bit as well. Stuff to buy. I'm going to look at several of the shopping malls and talk about the retail culture in Dubai. And then lastly, we're going to go around the UAE, look at some of the sites in some of those different places that I showed you on the map. Okay, so starting with living and working. Here I am at work. It was a windy, dusty day, so I had my my keffiyeh, my headscarf, wrapped around. I didn't know about COVID. This was 2015, but obviously, you know, I had some vision of the fact that I was going to need to be covering my face in a couple of years. Very common. Everybody has a headscarf. Doesn't matter where they're from. There's different versions, different styles of wearing it, and it can become really quite a fashion statement. For me, it was more practical. This was the type of stuff that I was doing. This was a fire training center at the new airport in Dubai. And this is actually a full-scale Airbus A380. But made out of 3/4 inch steel. So it's never going in the air. It's got about 23 different points that are piped to burn in this way. So that was the largest one, an engine fire, and then a landing gear fire underneath the airplane. That's just to show you the kind of work that I was doing while I was there. This was the apartment building that I lived in. It's called Silicon Gates 1. It's in a suburb of Dubai, about 25 minutes or so out of downtown, and really right on the edge of the desert. Behind this building, there really was nothing beyond that. There was a little bit of a college and university area off to one side, but other than that, that's basically where the undeveloped area started. And so on the other side of the building was desert. But on my apartment, which was facing north, so the sun never actually shined directly on my balcony and on my windows. So I had a nice, comfortable apartment. There's a swimming pool there. There's a grocery store 24 hours on the street level. There was a medical clinic. I almost didn't have to leave other than to go to work. One of the things that came along with living overseas is for the 2015 election, I had to request that my ballot be sent to the Canadian consulate, and it was a little bit disappointed in the level of service from the consulate. I'll be frank, in that the ballot arrived, they contacted me, I went there, received the ballot, and I said, all right, can I vote and then hand this back to you? You know, basically your sealed ballot goes in a sealed envelope that goes to Elections Canada. And the guy said, well, yeah, but we have no guarantee that the diplomatic bag will be sent back before the election. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what exactly is your function? You know, as a consulate, shouldn't you be making sure that the Canadian citizens could actually vote? So I received the ballot, and then I had to courier it back. So it cost me, I think, in the end, about $85 to vote, but I wasn't going to not vote. One of the things about living overseas is that when you get sick or injured or you need surgery, is that you are in a different country. That might be a good thing or a bad thing. In this case, this was my hospital room when I had my shoulder rebuild. I'd been dealing with arthritis in my shoulder for a long time, and essentially while I was there, the tendon in my shoulder gave out, and so I basically needed an entire shoulder rebuild. And I found a Canadian doctor. Tell me if this would happen. I found online a Canadian surgeon working at a place called Medcare Orthopedic and Spinal, and I used their online tool to try to book an appointment. And they said, well, when do you want the appointment? This was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I said, well, I'll try to do 4:30 in the afternoon. Their online tool would not accept appointments for the same day. So I gave them a call. And I said, hi, when's the earliest I can get an appointment with Dr. McKillop? And they said, how about 4:30 this afternoon? So it took me 6 hours to get an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon, as opposed to, what, 6 months if you're lucky? Everything was covered by the insurance that our company had. Now I'm going to tell you that the next slide is a little gross. It's the actual sutures for my shoulder surgery. So Dr. McKillop did 3 arthroscopic points, and you can see them around the big suture. And he had primed me about this beforehand. The way he said it was, I might have to open your shoulder up because I'm going to be doing a lot of work in there, and if there's a lot of bleeding and swelling, it's just going to be a lot better if I open it up. And then he said, and frankly, you're not Brad Pitt. Okay, and I said, listen, I don't care about a scar. I just want you to do the job properly. So I'm going to show you this slide now. On my last appointment before the surgery, the doctor says, anything else going on? So it was my left shoulder, and I said, I'm getting a lot of pain on my right side, and I'm thinking it's probably because I'm carrying myself differently or whatever. But I got to tell you, my right neck and right shoulder are absolutely killing me. And he said, I don't think so. And so he, poked and prodded me a little bit, and kind of shook his head. He got on the phone and talked to the neurosurgeon, who was 2 doors down the hallway. And he said, can I bring this guy over? Sure. So now, impromptu, I'm talking to a neurosurgeon, and he determines in about 10 minutes that what's happening is I've got a nerve, major nerve coming off between cervical 5 and cervical 6 that is being impinged on by a herniated disc. And so now he's recommending a disc replacement with the device that you see on the screen there. And this is totally unexpected to me. But what ended up happening was I had the shoulder surgery in July and the cervical disc replacement in August. And then 100% recovery from both. There was about 6 months of physio for the shoulder, but the neck surgery, I was perfectly fine as when by the time I woke up in the recovery room. This is the view from my balcony. The building that's referred to as the Pineapple locally is the Silicon Oasis Authority. So the neighborhood or the suburb that I lived in is called Silicon Oasis. This is the kind of the municipal building, if you will, where all the utilities and the government services and everything are for Silicon Oasis. And this is like with actually a very long zoom lens. you're seeing downtown Dubai with the Burj Khalifa. That's actually about probably 25 kilometers away.
So Peter, are you willing to take a question at this point?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay, Elka Anola is saying that when she was in Dubai in 2018,
Yeah.
she was told that they were building a taller building than the Burj.
Yes, that's my understanding. I can't remember what it's called. There's always a number of projects. The race for taller buildings is it moves around the world. In the late 19th, earliest 20th century, it was New York versus Chicago. Then New York again in the 30s. Then New York versus Chicago again in the 70s. Then it moved over to Asia, and you had Kuala Lumpur and Taipei. And for the last 15, 20 years, it's been in the Middle East. So currently it's the Burj Khalifa. There's another building, I think that's supposed to be 2,000 feet high. No, that's not right, because Burj Khalifa is 2,600. 3,000 feet high. But Saudi Arabia is also in the race. There's one in Riyadh and one in Jeddah. And it all depends which of these buildings actually end up getting built. The economy shut down many major projects in Dubai with the economic shutdown 10 years ago. So these new ones are speculative. I don't know what shovels are actually in the ground. Does that answer it?
I think it does.
Okay. So looking at downtown Dubai again with Burj Khalifa and that stormy sky, I'm going to talk a little bit now about the weather. This is actually it's not a everyday, but it's not atypical either. Once the wind starts blowing and you're away from the built-up area, so this was the road that I would take every day from Silicon Oasis to get to work, about 15 minutes. And once the wind starts blowing, the sand just blows across. You know, we're familiar with this in terms of snow blowing, and it's quite similar, except the sand will actually accumulate, and you have to be careful driving, which of course people are not in Dubai. Terrible driving. Unless you're from India, and the people from India say the drivers in Dubai are so good, and the people from Canada say the drivers in Dubai are so bad. So I guess it just depends on your perspective. That was just a quick shot one day of my dashboard. 48 degrees. That wasn't the hottest that I experienced. It got up into the 50s a few times. And there's a difference in Dubai between the temperature and the official temperature. The official temperature is taken at the airport or at the government offices downtown, both of which are relatively close to the waterfront, at least much closer than where I was working. And there are regulations that kick in terms of the hours that people can work outdoors, or the hours that people can be required to work outdoors when the temperature hits 50. You probably haven't experienced 40 in Canada, and I'm not talking about with the Humidex. I'm just talking about straight temperature of 40. 50 is just, it's another thing completely. And so as a result, because of that restricted work regulation, somehow mysteriously the official temperature usually hovers around 49, even on the hottest days. Never quite hits 50, suspiciously. But out in the desert, where we were, it would be 52, 53, and you know, really, I would walk from my air-conditioned apartment, you know, to the elevator, down to my car, in my air-conditioned car, drive 15 minutes to work, and in a 45-second walk from my car into my office, I would ruin a shirt. Like my shirt would be soaked just in walking from my car into the office, and it's really quite something. One effect of living down there for 3 years is I laugh at people in the summer when they're complaining about how hot it is. Like it could be 36, 37, and I'm fine. You know, I just it doesn't affect me anymore. This was actually a very unusual occurrence. This was in February 2015, shortly after I went down there, and there are 2 high-rise building complexes in this picture. One's on the left, one's on the right. You can't see them. This was like a 40-year event, and this is 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's just orange with sand from a major windstorm. Here's another picture the same day. Those buildings are literally across the street. They're you know, maybe 25 steps away from where I was standing, and you can't make out any details or see them at all. So that was quite unusual. That lasted about 3 days. However, sometimes now we're into things to do. It can be very, very nice. So I got a little bit into photography while I was there. Bought some neat stuff, and this is a wetland area, part of the Dubai Creek, and it's a migratory stop for flamingos, and there was hundreds and hundreds of flamingos. So what I would do, I would wait for a day after it rains. You can see in the picture on the right, the sky is actually fairly clear, but even then, it's a little dusty toward the horizon. It's just a fact down there. First of all, you're in a city of 2.5 million people and lots of cars, but it's also a desert environment, so there's lots of suspended dust in the air. So to take pictures outside, I would wait until a day after it rained, because that would clear the air out. So I'm taking pictures of flamingos at the wetlands, and egrets. I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
When you say you've had a few, you mean you ate them?
It's a joke. It's a lyric from I Did It My Way.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't think I was gonna have to explain that. Egrets, I've had a few. Frank Sinatra fans will get it. Here I am, I'm a nerd. I'm a fire nerd. I see a fire hydrant, gotta have a picture of it. But what's behind me is the Dubai Opera House, which opened while I was there. So I think it opened in 2016 or 17, 2016, I think. And there was a number of interesting things going on there. But I was really surprised that there wasn't such a facility. There was essentially no real theater district like you would find in London or New York, Toronto, or Hamburg. There was really nothing there. So when this opened up, they were doing things like bringing Cats, right? A play from the 80s, or I made a joke one time. Oh, next they're going to bring West Side Story. Well, guess what? About a month later, they announced West Side Story. Great, yeah, that one's from the 60s. But this was new to everybody. Even the expats from the UK, I was really surprised how excited they were to go and see Cats. And but there was also things would only run for 3 days, 5 days maybe, and then it would be replaced by something else. So we went to a few shows there. In this case, the Blue Man Group, and we were in the second row, so we had to wear the ponchos because we got sprayed with blue and green and yellow water and all kinds of stuff. Blue Man Group, if you ever have a chance, it's absolutely a great show. I've seen them 3 times. Saw them in Toronto, saw them in Dubai, and then the same touring group in Dubai happened to come to Kingston, so saw them last year. Took a selfie with the same Blue Man that I took a selfie with in Dubai. This is at the National Bowling Center in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is a level above Dubai, probably 2 levels above Dubai in terms of the amount of wealth. Abu Dhabi is genuinely rich. They've got like about 8% of the world's proven oil reserves. They're taking their time with the development of the city. It's not a big rush. It's much more sprawling, whereas Dubai is concentrated. But one of the things they have there is they have a very rich sporting culture. So this enormous bowling center and beautiful place is part of a large sports complex that includes where they have a tennis training center where they train all their tennis players. I had a friend whose son received an offer to go there and train hockey goalies, and he ended up not going because it was actually not a very good deal in terms of the salary and everything that was being offered. But they have like an ice hockey training center in Abu Dhabi. Can you imagine? And everything else, of course, soccer, cricket, all the sports that you would expect in that region. But we got right into bowling. My friends and I. There was a couple of guys who had been bowling their entire life, including my friend Sylvain Jonesy. And this was, I think, probably one of the only times I actually beat him. So I had to take a picture of it. And our coach was another one of our coworkers, a giant of a man called James Nelson from North Carolina, who had been a firefighter in the U.S. military before joining us in Dubai. Of course, there's beaches, and the Arabian Gulf, or Persian Gulf as we refer to it, is absolutely gorgeous. It just really depends on how well serviced is the beach. There are some areas where when I'll just be frank with you, when the sewage system gets backed up, it ends up in the Gulf. But you know what? The same thing happens to Lake Ontario, right? There's times when you can't swim at Ashbridges Bay in Toronto, for example. But for the most part, it's crystal clear and warm, and really nice beaches. Camel racing is the most interesting thing I think that you can sit and watch. It's a real culture, and camels are raised there. Obviously, they're raised for racing, for milk, and for meat. And I don't know, if it's the losers of the race that end up being in the camel burgers, but a camel race is a real event. There'll be dozens of camels. Each camel is being chased around the inner track by 5 or 6 guys in an SUV honking their horn and yelling and screaming. There's a little robot jockey on top of every camel saddle that basically one guy in the SUV is controlling the whip on the little robot jockey. And watching a camel run is just poetry in motion. And these races take 15, 20 minutes. They're very, very long. Not like a 2.5-minute Kentucky Derby kind of race. So that was fun. The season was really in the spring, February, March, and so I did that a few times.
Can I give you a question?
Yep.
Okay. Raj Krishnan said that he's heard of Jeep safaris.
Yes.
In the desert. Are they worth going on?
It's worth doing once. It's real kitsch, right? It's real touristy stuff. But any of the hotels can arrange a Jeep safari, and that's there in Abu Dhabi or in Dubai. There's many companies that will basically pick you up, take you out to an area in the desert, and they've got trained drivers. There'll be 5 or 6 of you in big full-size SUVs, and these guys will be driving up and down the sand dunes, which can be quite tall, so it's kind of fun. You don't unfortunately get a chance to drive yourself, but after you bomb through these sand dunes with these local young men driving the Jeeps, you'll then be treated to a traditional desert barbecue. it's traditional in the sense that yes, the foods are traditional. You're getting you know, kebabs and rice and fattoush salad and you know, everything that you would expect of an Arabic barbecue. And then there'll be a show going on with belly dancers and whirling dervish dancers, and none of the belly dancers are Arabic women. They're all from East Europe. So like one of them was probably Miss Moldova 2014, but it's really, it's the stereotypical, you're a tourist, you go on the safari, and it's fun. I went on a couple of them when I first went there. My friend Mohammed took me out, and then whenever we had business associates coming in for the first time, we would take them out on a safari. And some of them had additional activities where you could rent a little quad bike, you know, a little four-wheel vehicle, and do your own desert driving. That was fun. And little camel rides and snowboarding down the sand dunes, which is a complete waste of time, by the way. Okay.
Okay, that's good. And Raj has also asked you, are there any water shortages? And if so, how do they impact the way of life there?
Oh, that's interesting. And it's interesting that my next slide shows a golf course, because of course you can't have a golf course without water. You can't grow the grass. So the water comes from desalination plants. So there's an agency called DEWA, Dubai Electric and Water Authority, and there'll be a similar agency in the other Emirates. And what they do, they have two things other than sand. They have two things that are in abundance. One is seawater, and the other is natural gas. So these giant plants do something called staged phase desalination. So they'll bring seawater into a large plant, they'll filter it, and heat it to almost boiling, and then drop it from that tank or that vessel into another one that's at slightly lower pressure. And because it's at slightly lower pressure, the boiling point is lower, and a certain quantity of that water will just flash off as steam, leaving slightly more concentrated saline water. But that steam flashes off, and then they use that steam to turn turbines, create the electricity, and then when the steam condenses, it's fresh water. So essentially they use the natural gas to turn seawater into fresh water and electricity. Then from that container, it goes into one at a slightly lower pressure, flashes off again, and that progresses about 5 times. And then they just pump this now concentrated saline back out into the sea, and it mingles with, intermixes with the existing seawater. So it's a rather elegant desalination process, but it is very expensive in terms of the technology and the use of natural gas. The natural gas, however, is very cheap, and they have it in abundance. So I hope that answered that.
Okay. Ann Atkinson would like to know, are the office buildings air conditioned? And if so, how low do they keep the temperature?
Oh yes, of course they're air conditioned. Everything's air conditioned. You certainly wouldn't want to be in one of those buildings if the air conditioning went down. And it really depends. I found that some of the hotels are too cold, but generally 18 to 20, 22 maybe. Comfortable inside temperatures. If you look at the picture of the golfer, that's actually a European golfer, Miguel Angel Jimenez, if anybody follows the European PGA. And I'll talk about the golf in a second. But if you look at the villa in the distance behind, that's a fairly typical, probably 4 or 5 bedroom villa that a well-to-do expatriate from Germany or England or US or Canada might have their family in. To keep that villa air conditioned, they're going to be paying, I'm just going to do a little math here. I got my calculator set up for currency conversion, they're going to be paying over $1,000 in electricity every month to keep that place air conditioned. Whereas my 950 square foot 1-bedroom apartment with no sun exposure was probably a quarter of that for my electricity and water. So everything's air conditioned everywhere. As a matter of fact, once June hits, the city pretty much empties out. Everybody takes off, including the locals. They'll get out of town. They'll go do their business or take their family to Europe or Africa or whatever they want to do. Sports. This picture of the golf was an annual event that takes place on the European PGA Tour, and that's my toe in the bottom there. That's my shoe. That's how close you can get to professional golf. I really enjoy going to these tournaments. And this particular one, it's free admission. All you have to do in advance, there's a certain number of tickets. They announce it in like September. You go online and you can reserve 4 tickets for the entire week in November, and go and watch all the top golfers in the world, other than some of the Americans. Some of the Americans are there, but you're getting the top golfers from Europe and Asia. So that was a lot of fun. On the right, that's not tennis. It's a game called paddle, P-A-D-E-L, which is kind of a cross between, to me, it was like a cross between tennis and racquetball. The 4 walls surrounding them are actually live. There's no out of bounds. So you can rebound the ball off the back wall and off the side wall. There's different rules. It's a popular game, a growing game in Europe. This was a professional tournament that was brought to a sports complex. This sports complex, which includes full-size auditorium, full-size stadium, luxurious gym and facilities, spa facilities, is personally owned by the Crown Prince of Dubai, and it's many acres, running track, camel racing, stables, all kinds of things. There's a difference between a millionaire and a billionaire, and this young man is a billionaire. This is a place called Global Village. It would open in late October, and it would close in early April. So basically avoiding the months when it's too hot to be outside. And it was like a family-oriented theme park. It reminded me of the old, some of you may be old enough to remember the Metro Caravan, where there would be pavilions around Toronto from different cultures. And you could go and have, Italian food, and then go to the Egypt pavilion, and then, go to the different pavilions. There's still festivals like this in Mississauga and in Brampton. Well, this was kind of like a permanent caravan, international caravan. So there'd be pavilions here from, about 20, 30 different countries. So you could go there and buy, sweaters and blankets from Kazakhstan, and art and art pieces and furniture from Africa, stuff from Russia, stuff from China, stuff from different countries in Europe. Fun place. Again, mostly family oriented. So I brought my family. My daughter visited me for a week when she had a break from school, and that's the Russian pavilion at Global Village behind us there. We had a good time. Honestly, I can't remember where these guys were from, but what he's playing is kind of like a bagpipe. And you can see, he's fingering on that flute there, and keeping this large bladder inflated. So it's similar in its function to a bagpipe. I can't remember where they were from. I just found this picture when I was setting this up. But there was performances like that going on all the time, flamenco dancing and you know, whatever pavilion was being featured. This was one of the spice and produce vendors at Global Village. There'd be all kinds of things. There's vendors that do nothing but saffron, and you wouldn't know that there was that much saffron in the world. And of course, it's a beautiful color, and you got the aroma, and so you could buy saffron in bulk. It's very, very expensive. There's another common thing was honey from Yemen. Yemen apparently is very famous for its honey. So there'd be dozens of varieties of honey with vanilla from Madagascar, or you know, different seasonings infused into the honey. Around Dubai, of course, there are mosques in every neighborhood. This one, just in my travels, I would pass by this place, you know, every week or so, and I thought this is really a very attractive building. It looks a little older. Nothing in Dubai is old. So this is probably only about 5 years old when I took the picture. It's just built in an older style, in more of a local style. Now we're into Feed Your Head. One of the things that I started doing was my main radio station was a talk radio, kind of a news talk radio station called Dubai Eye, and mostly British presenters. I just found their topics interesting. I found especially the morning presenters to be engaging, and so I actually became an unofficial friend of the show. They would actually, you know, I would call in from time to time when they had a topic that I wanted to, you know, maybe give my opinion on. They had lots of trivia contests, and that's what this was a big trivia contest on with business theme. And so I went there, and this is where I really got to know some of the presenters, and got to the point where they would call me and said, "Can we talk to you at 10 o'clock about, you know, something that was happening in the United States or whatever?" So it was kind of fun to be a friend of the show. So I went to this event, and there was, you know, we were seated at tables of 10 with one radio host at each table, and our team ended up number 3. Primarily because I knew that the Canary Islands are not named after dogs. Sorry, are not named after birds, they're named after dogs. That was the one trivia question that seemed to be the big differentiator. And on the right there, you'll see me with a voucher from a exclusive British tailor. That was our prize for getting third place. So I actually ended up getting 2 custom tailored dress shirts that were worth about $250 each as my trivia prize. So I started hanging out at a lot of trivia quizzes. The one on the left was a big quiz set up on the beach one night with another radio station, and I met a group of people from India that were really into quizzes, and so we had a team. We had the best team name that night. We were the Subject Matter Expats. So we had team members from Canada, from India, from Philippines, and I think we won a prize that night too, but that was a fun night. So these guys from India would hold a monthly trivia get-together, as well as they would do an annual contest called Brainbuster, which is very similar to the American Mensa Culture Quest, except these things are all over the place. There's trivia contests like that coming out from UK, from Vienna, from Switzerland, from lots of them from India, and they're on par or more difficult than the Culture Quest. And these guys, Quiz Dubai, hosted one called Brainbuster. So this became my Mensa substitute, was hanging out with these guys, who I met at the Dubai Eye event. So there'd be like 40 guys from India and me, and we would take turns being quizmaster. And when the questions were about cricket or Bollywood movies, I would just, sit there politely. But when it was my turn to write the questions, there'd be questions about Wayne and Schuster and Star Trek, and I was surprised how many questions on like very Canadian things, like Wayne and Schuster, these guys were able to actually answer correctly. So bar quizzes became a almost weekly thing that a group of us would do. So this particular night, we won a 300 dirham. AED means Arab Emirate dirham. That's the official short form. And 300 dirhams is about $107. So we won a voucher to use the next week, or we had like a month to use it at that bar. So our goal each night when we went to a bar quiz was to win the next week's bar tab, and we were often successful. Sometimes we only had a medium brain, right? So we didn't get 300 dirhams. We got a bottle of wine and a food platter. This one, complimentary brunch inclusive of non-alcoholic beverages. This was the brunch culture. Each hotel will have a number of restaurant venues within it, and they try to get weekend business with people to come in for brunch on Fridays and Saturdays. The weekend is Friday, Saturday. The work week is Sunday through Thursday. So this complimentary brunch at a very, very nice hotel was probably worth 450 to 500 dirhams per person. So, we'll call that 1,000 dirhams. That was worth about $350 in terms of having that complimentary brunch. And it's gourmet level, very nice stuff. So we're into food now. Excuse me. This is I call him my little brother. Mohammed was my student in Toronto at the Fire Academy in 1998-99 when Dubai Civil Defense sent 12 junior officers over, and they were my students for about a year and a half. And then they went back, resumed their career with the fire service, Dubai Civil Defense. But Mohammed and I stayed in touch, and so we've been business partners since about 2008. This particular week, we went out for dinners and essentially business dinners with a couple of his partners, and this was in 2014 when we really started to set up the company that would run the academy starting the next year. So we went to an Afghan restaurant this night. The previous night we went to a Persian restaurant. The next night we went to an Egyptian restaurant, and one of the other guys there, Saudi guy, asked me, which of the food did you like? And I said, well, I liked them all, but I found it very interesting that the hostess that met us at the door of the Afghan restaurant, she sounded exactly the same as the Persian restaurant hostess, who sounded exactly the same as the Egyptian restaurant hostess. And he looks at me, I'm joking around, he looks at me completely straight-faced and says, that's because they're all Filipino. And I said, I know that, I'm just joking around. So you basically had a young Filipino woman dressed as an Afghan or dressed as an Egyptian who was the hostess. And essentially, the entire hospitality industry, hotel and restaurant, is dominated by Filipino workers, and some it's been changing. It depends on who owns the hotel and who's developing the hotel. there's a lot of Chinese workers as well, especially in the management of the hotels.
So Peter,
Yes,
what does camel meat taste like? Is it delicious?
I've got a slide on camel coming up.
Okay,
Can we leave it till then?
sure.
Here it is. It's the next one.
Okay.
This was I asked about camel meat. This is, I think, I'd been there 6 months or so, and I said, you know, I know that camels are raised for meat, but I never see camel meat. And they said, oh, well, you got to go to this restaurant called Zaina, and so this place kind of specialized, right? They had camel kebabs, camel burgers, camel shawarma, and it's pretty much like a mild beef. I would say the closest thing to anything I've had would be bison. So it's an inoffensive. It's not gamey. It's kind of like a very mild beef, the way I found it. So that's just to show you that you can get your camel fix on, and of course there are in some of the fancier places there will be, you know, camel delicacies. There'll be you know, tenderloins and fillets and things. This was the menu for one of the brunches that we attended, and you actually will see a picture in a couple of slides of this little offering. This isn't choose from these. You get these 4 starters, kind of like a little hors d'oeuvre platter. So tuna tartare with avocado, mango, and wasabi. I can't wait for that one. That one's going to be good. Here's another one. This runs the gamut. On the left is a British themed brunch with like eggs Benedict. The Great British Roast was basically roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, the whole deal, and the different desserts and British cheeses. 225 dirhams per person for food only. So and then you would buy your drinks. Some of the brunches are all inclusive, and you could basically sit there and drink your brains out for 4 hours. So this particular brunch with eggs Benedict and roast beef and all that be about $80 Canadian per person. So it's not, you know, it's not a grand slam at Denny's, but you know, when you're there and you're making a very good salary, dropping that amount for a weekend brunch is not an issue. On the other side, we've got Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is all over the place. Tim Hortons moved into the UAE a couple years after Starbucks. And I remember when I was a kid, Burger King would open up next to every McDonald's. And McDonald's would try to open up next to every Burger King. Well, in the UAE, Tim Hortons is opening up next to or across the street from every Starbucks. So I had to include a Tim Hortons bill, right, to show you that it's there. Pretty much everything that you get here. They're not really into donuts, but everybody loves the Tim Horton, you know, panini and different kinds of sandwiches. Soup and chili, not a thing. Some of the Tim Hortons would have soup, but mostly people wanted the coffees, the cappuccinos, all that stuff, and the sandwiches. Of course, no ham, no bacon, or they would have turkey ham. Although it's not prohibited, you can get pork products lots of places in Dubai. You wouldn't have a million Filipinos working in that country if there was no roast pork available. But it's not everywhere, and if it is on offer, it's accompanied by lots of signage to ensure that it's for non-Muslims only. Speaking of the Filipino culture, you may or may not have ever heard of Jollibee. Jollibee is to the Philippines what Tim Hortons is to Canada times 10. It's a fast food chain that deals in hamburgers, chicken, spaghetti, and rice primarily. And when they finally opened a Jollibee, this one in Dubai Mall was the first one to open, you could not get near this place. The first time I actually, I didn't get any food this particular day. I just went to the security machine you can see there in the background and got a ticket. The ticket told me I had to come back and wait until my number was called, and then when my number was called, then I could join this queue, and the queue would be 50 or 60 people. So you're going to take your ticket and wait sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours before you can even get in line to order really not particularly good food. My Filipino friends just can't get enough of this stuff. I thought, okay, you know, the burger's all right, the chicken's okay, the spaghetti's terrible, but it's wasn't made for me. It was made for a different taste. So even 4 months later, 3 months later, this is the level of business that they were doing. They ended up opening at least one other in Dubai. There's 2 that I know of in Ontario. One is in Mississauga Heartland, and the other one is at Scarborough Town Center. So if you need to have a Jollibee fix, or you just want to experience some Filipino culture. This is another Filipino restaurant called Max's Chicken. It was in a mall called Dragon Mart. I'm going to show you some Dragon Mart pictures a little bit later on. I like Max's. The service was good. The food was all right. The chicken actually wasn't that great. But these little beef spring rolls called lumpia Shanghai are delicious. I could order these by the basket and just sit there and watch TV and eat these little deep fried beef spring rolls. So what we've got here is on the left. This is a Filipino buffet, quite reasonable price, so that this would be very, much downscale. So you've got everything there from roast pork, fried fish, lumpia Shanghai, some a fried noodle dish, some looks like California roll sushi, and on the other side, this is the appetizer plate from that fancy brunch with the fritters and the tuna tartare, etc. So one is several hundred dirhams. The other one was probably 40 or 50. This is a place called the Observatory where we went for brunch, and this is very high up, like 80 or 90 floors up. And what you can see in the background behind me is the Palm Jumeirah, one of the Palm Islands that you might have heard of. So right behind my head, you can see this the trunk of the palm, and then you can see the fronds of the palm that come out and form the shape of a palm tree, with the Atlantis Hotel right up at the very top. So that's actually quite a distance away. The Atlantis Hotel is very large, and so this is part of the waterfront around the Palm Jumeirah, and a very, very exclusive marina down below. That's my boat on the bottom left there. I decided not to take a taxi. I'd take my boat over, and they let me park it there. But I just wanted to compare something here. You see the crane on the pier there, and suspended from the crane is a gondola. And I thought, this is either a clever marketing idea or a sucker born every minute. So the people that are in there have signed up and paid like over $100 for their brunch. So they would go into that those tents down below and wait for their turn. There'd be several seatings, and if they needed to use the washroom or whatever, they would do it while they were down there. Because then what happens is the crane lowers that gondola down. Everybody gets on there, straps into their seat, and then they're hoisted 150 feet in the air. And this is the experience. You eat your brunch suspended 150 feet in the air from a crane. And I'm thinking, why? Why would you want to do that? So I'm probably 900 feet in the air, looking down on them and having a much better meal in full comfort. And I can go to the washroom whenever I want. This is just a warning. Smoked trout may contain seafood. During Ramadan, every night there's to break the fast there, after sunset, there's a meal called iftar. So this was our company iftar. The company was called Moran Training. The site that we operated was called the Emirates Civil Defense Academy. So this was the welcome card for our iftar buffet that night. This is in a mall called Mall of the Emirates, which is, I really enjoyed Mall of the Emirates. I found it a little, less pretentious than Dubai Mall. Dubai Mall was very much upscale, most of it. And this is a combination Texas grill, Brazilian churrasqueira. So you go in there and there's like a full buffet of side dishes. Everything: salads, rice, potatoes, veggies, whatever you want, grilled pineapple, and then they would come around with cuts of meat. So you're getting different cuts of beef and sausages and all kinds of things. So not dirt cheap, but it was probably the most reasonably priced Brazilian themed steakhouse I've ever seen anywhere in the world. So that ended up being a bit of a hangout for some of us. What my one colleague, Mario from Montreal, he practically lived there. This was a restaurant called the Yellow Chili. It's a chain, but not a large chain, operated by a celebrity chef from India named Sanjeev Kapoor. The best Indian restaurant I've ever been to, bar none. It again was not run of the mill in terms of the price, but not outrageous. So you could probably go and dinner for two with. Well, this particular location was not licensed for liquor, but you could probably get out of there for $75, $80 dinner for two, and have a really good Indian meal. My favorite hamburger, I'm going to say literally anywhere in the world with possible exception of Harvey's, was a place called Elevation Burger, and they had a location on the second floor of the Dubai Mall overlooking the skating rink. So here I am enjoying what was probably my last Elevation Burger in 2017 before I came home. And so you can see the several levels of the Dubai Mall there, and people skating inside. There was a hockey league that played there, and most of the time it was open skating. St. Patrick's Day. I'm mugging here. I wasn't that drunk. I wasn't that sober either. But we went to a St. Patrick's Day brunch at a British pub and had a great time all day, and watched some incredibly drunk people try to dance. It was the food was roast beef and sausage and just ribs, chicken. It was great. Really missed. There was another place called Irish Village that we would go to from time to time. On the left, first of all, the magazine cover. One of the ways that you could save a lot of money and try some new things is there would be different voucher packages. In this case, Time Out Dubai, which is like a local entertainment magazine, a couple times a year would come out with these voucher issues where there'd be like dozens of pages inside with vouchers for like 2-for-1s or other discounts to brunches, to restaurants, things like that. And then on the right, that's again my little brother Mohammed in the bottom corner, and this was I think it was the Eid after Ramadan, and so this was the dinner at his father's house. So these are various cousins and uncles in his extended family, and so we're all just eating on the floor. The women are in another part of the house doing the same thing, and lots of food just spread out on the floor on a plastic large roll of plastic tablecloth kind of thing, and we're eating with our hands. I learned years before this the technique of eating with your right hand only. It was easier than learning chopsticks. Let's put it that way. Lastly, whatever you want, you can get delivered, from pizza, Chinese food, shawarma, or McDonald's. And so there's a small army. It's not even a small army. It's an invasion fleet of guys driving around on motorbikes, delivering food all the time. Kind of like this year. This is the DoorDash or Uber Eats of Dubai.
I'm just
Cars.
Peter,
Yeah.
I'm just going to check with you about your timing.
Yeah, it's going to go a little quicker now.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to dwell on each car. I'll tell you a little bit about this one. So this is the section on cars. This is actually a supercharged Corvette that Dubai Civil Defense uses for highway response. So in the trunk at the back are some auto extrication tools and some fire extinguishers. And I was given a ride in this one time several years before this, and it goes fast. This is the culture there is very impressed with gadgetry, and that's about as polite as I can say it. They bought this. It's a large, heavy-duty jet ski with these hydraulic jet boots attached. The idea being that they could respond on the waterfront, and the firefighter could be boosted up into the air on the jet boots, and then spray water on something. So yeah, they bought that. This is a Dubai Police response Ferrari. This one and this one, which I can't remember. This might be a McLaren. I don't know. So these two cars were featured in the Jackie Chan movie that was filmed partly in Dubai. If you happen to see that, very briefly, just these pull up and local policewoman gets out. This was my car. Some of you may think that this is the original Aston Martin from Goldfinger. No, it's not. It's my car, and I'm going to stick with that story. But I attended an event called Designing 007, which was touring around the world, had been for a couple of years, but they had it at Burj Khalifa for almost a year, and so they had all of the costumes and props and everything from all the Bond movies. It was really kind of cool if you're into Bond. And so this was my audition for replacing Daniel Craig. And this is an actual Aston Martin that my little brother Mohammed went ahead and bought. And I said, "Are you crazy? You can't afford this car." "Oh, but Chief, it's a very nice car." It was a gorgeous car. Absolutely incredible car that he couldn't afford. But that's the way it is. I was really surprised. This was just a week or two after I'd arrived there to see this club of American muscle cars. I had never seen that before in all the times that I've been down there. There was Mustangs, Chargers, various American muscle cars, lots of Mustangs. So that's become a thing over the last little while. And of course, Ferraris. This is at a theme park called Ferrari World, which is in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is car crazy. That's where the Grand Prix is. And I love this little kiosk there. Push the button to hear what a Ferrari engine sounds like. And this little camel mascot in a Ferrari racing suit. So I didn't bother pushing the button. This, now when I look at this picture, it looks like a little toy model, but it's not. This is an actual Formula One car. The tires are so pristine and everything that it looks like I took a picture of a model, but that's an actual F1 Ferrari. Just on the street, somebody's really cool car. This is a gold-plated Ferrari in one of the Ferrari merchandise stores. Not sure if that was in Dubai Mall or not, but there was like a Ferrari store where you could go in and buy, pay $125 for a golf shirt if you wanted to. And gold-plated car? Sure, why not? Another guy's cool car, Mercedes coupe. This would be just outside Dubai Mall. The car in the background, I kept trying to get a good picture of my my Hyundai Elantra, my rental, and people kept parking cars in the way. The guy with the parking spot next to me, I found out eventually when I happened to be there at the same time and talked to the guy. His son imports and sells luxury cars. So he'd always have, one car or another parked right next to my Hyundai Elantra. So this is a Mercedes G-Class, referred to as a G-Box. That's the it car for the local Arabs in Dubai, is to have a G-Box, usually white, because that's what Sheikh Mohammed drives. Another one, I can't remember what this is, can't see the logo, but I know that that's my Hyundai Elantra behind it. I did a double take. This is a Rolls Royce. I've never seen a Rolls Royce decked out like this. But that, you look at the grille and you look at the badging on the wheel hub. That's a Rolls Royce sports coupe. And another one of my neighbors had this for a little while. I don't remember what the make was, but it's similar to like a Can-Am Roadster, little tricycle. This was my favorite car. This one kept coming back every few months. It was a bronze, flat metallic Mercedes or BMW X6, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And again, parked in the way, so I couldn't get a good picture of my Hyundai. A stretch Dodge Challenger, why not? A stretch Hummer, why not? And a stretch BMW X5. So these were parked outside a hotel. There's obviously some big event going on. This was parked, this T-Bird with a classic car plate was parked outside the clinic where I was doing rehab on my shoulder. I'm going to guess nobody's ever heard of this. I've never seen this car brand before, and this started to be a lot of them, mostly vans and buses made by a Chinese company called King Long. And I looked them up. They're like one of the larger domestic, large chassis vehicle manufacturers in China, and they were bringing a lot of King Long vehicles into Dubai. So a lot of the buses, a lot of the work vans, things like that. So that's it for the cars. Now we're into stuff to buy. Wafi, it's the Wafi Hotel, the pyramid-shaped place behind. Never got in there. Very, very expensive, exclusive hotel. But they have an Egyptian-themed mall next to it. This was an upper-end mall, not a lot of foot traffic. This particular week, the reason I went there was they were having an exhibition of Arabic calligraphy. Whereas classic Western art, particularly classic Western religious art, is going to focus on the human form, classic Arab art is calligraphy. And in there, stylized, is most likely a passage from the Quran. Or some other classic work of Arabic literature. stylized in calligraphy, and some of these are absolutely gorgeous. And I took close-ups just to kind of dominate the photo. So there was a couple of pieces there that look a little bit more like writing as opposed to art, but a very interesting art form. Now we're in Dubai Mall again. So you're seeing different people skating. Some look quite adept. Others are holding on to penguins and snowmen so that they can skate around without falling. That would be me. Not quite. This was another place that we frequented. This is Mall of the Emirates again, and we're looking at the indoor ski hill. There was about 6 or so restaurants on 2 levels that overlooked the ski hill, so you could sit there and have a beer and whatever while you're watching people ski and snowboard. It's kind of neat. And this particular restaurant we hung out at because they had a pub quiz. So we would be getting about probably about half our bill paid for each week from the previous week's quiz winnings, and good food, a lot of fun in that place. On the left is called the Dubai Waterfall. It's a rather large art piece. That's only a very small portion of it. At the Dubai Mall, at one of the entrances when you come in, there's these human figures diving down a water feature. And on the right is, that's actually 3 stories tall on the inside of a mall called Dragon Mart. Dragon Mart is like a giant Dollarama full of Chinese discount goods. And it was relatively close to where I lived, and they had a cinema and restaurants and everything in there. So we ended up spending quite a bit of time in Dragon Mart, featuring stores, famous stores such as Fashion Floats, Green Flute, IC Fashion, iStory, My Baby, New Double Shinning. You didn't want to go to old Double Shinning. Once New Double Shinning opened, it was twice as good as the old Single Shinning. New Hello Kate, nice feel. Wouldn't you? Very inviting. You want to go in because it's nice feel. Outland, of course. Outland is a carpet store. That's obvious. Oh Churley, Pretty Baby, Spark World, which was small appliances, and Sun Sunny, operated by the Qingdao Sun Sunny trading branch, and the Victory Store. So these are just some of the Chinese knockoff. Really, is what most of this mall was. There was knockoffs of Lego, knockoffs of Hello Kitty, obviously. Here's another mall. I really like the Ibn Battuta Mall.
So Peter, before you get too far away from that ski hill, Eric Maddow was remarking that indoor ski hill was on the Amazing Race. Yes, it was. They've been through Dubai several times and been through Abu Dhabi once or twice, I think, on the Amazing Race. And that indoor ski hill is still a big draw. I can't even imagine what it costs to maintain the base of snow in there. I do know that when you park on the rooftop parking and the ski hill, the extension of the ski hill is actually above the parking. It leaks like a sieve. There's water dripping down onto the parking lot all over the place. But it's very popular. There's always people in there, and 12 months a year. Anything else? Can I go ahead? Go ahead. Okay. I don't know if any of you have heard of Ibn Battuta. I had never heard of Ibn Battuta, and it's really probably a lot of students in the East have never heard of Marco Polo. Well, Ibn Battuta was the Moroccan equivalent, if you will,
to Marco Polo about 50, 60 years later. Now, so he came after Marco Polo. He may or may not have been aware of Marco Polo's voyages. He traveled 10 times further than Marco Polo did, from Morocco across North Africa, everything we know as the Middle East, down East Africa as far as Zanzibar, into Central Asia, India, and as far as Beijing, as well as into Indochina, over several expeditions over a course of 30 or 40 years. So the Ibn Battuta Mall is a large mall on the kind of the extreme south end of Dubai. It was a little bit far away, but really nice mall, lots of really nice restaurants, and the different sections of the mall are themed around, at least in terms of design, they're themed around the various countries and cultures that were visited by Ibn Battuta. So there'd be like a Turkish section, an Indian section, an East African section, a Moroccan section, a Chinese section, and it was really neat. Now I'm going to show you a close-up of the map that shows some of Ibn Battuta's voyages, and so this is you know, the Middle East area, and they covered up a couple of cities. They didn't, I guess, want it known that Ibn Battuta had visited a couple of cities that, well, I guess will remain unnamed according to this map. Now we're going around the UAE. Al Ain, again, was the third city, if you will. It's the city directly south of Dubai, but part of Abu Dhabi Emirate, and it had the nicest zoo in the city. Not comparing to anything that we'd be familiar with, like the Toronto Zoo or any of the larger American zoos or the London Zoo, but not bad. It was nice to visit, and Al Ain is a very nice city. This is taken from a mountain called Jebel Hafit. Jebel means mountain or hill, and this is a sports and recreation area that's developed on the outskirts of the city of Al Ain. Al Ain is a mountain oasis, so it's a different climate, cooler, very much family oriented. I met a number of people who had Westerners, Americans and UK Brits mostly, who were living in Al Ain and really enjoyed it. They didn't mind commuting, you know, an hour or an hour and a half into Dubai or Abu Dhabi. So that's kind of an overview of the main part of Al Ain. You see, it's quite green, and these would be naturally irrigated areas because it's, as I said, a natural oasis area with a grand mosque in the center. This is the rare Arabian tree penguin. I have no idea what this bird is, but I thought it was a cool picture. This is a hotel that's almost at the top of Jebel Hafit. I thought that'd be a cool place to visit, and so I checked it out online. It actually wasn't even that expensive. It would have been like about $250 a night, something like that. But unfortunately, I never went back. Thought, you know, we'd go spend a weekend there and enjoy the view, and you know, have a swim and some nice food. Or this is how the other half lives. This is on the very peak of Jebel Hafit, and this is a large complex that's actually owned by the royal family of Abu Dhabi. I mean, these are literally some of the richest people in the world, and what they would do is they would just, you know, get in a helicopter and go down to their cottage in Muskoka, which is actually a little castle on top of a mountain. This is another area where they would, potentially take their helicopter. This is in the Liwa Oasis. So this is about 3 hours across the desert, south of Abu Dhabi, and getting close to the Saudi border. Another oasis area, and this is a very, very upscale, like impossibly upscale resort villa area. So these are all villas that are rented on a nightly or weekly basis, and some of them are probably exclusively reserved for the royal family, and surrounded by gardens and palm trees. We went down there on request to try and set up a fire safety training program for the hundreds of staff that were working there, and it was quite an interesting visit. And on the way back, this is my colleague Jonesy, and for no apparent reason, there was this giant replica of a Land Rover at the side of the road. So we decided to, take some pictures with the giant Land Rover. Back in Dubai, this is an area called Kite Beach, and you can see why. There's a lot of kiteboarding and other sports that go on there. And this was just a really nice sunset picture over Kite Beach. Wherever I went, I would build a little inukshuk, and I did the same in Zanzibar and Seychelles. Wherever in Goa, wherever I'd go on vacation, I would build a little inukshuk just to add a little Canadian content. So these are some of the little friends that I left behind that probably only lasted until the next tide. I like that one. On the right, the round building. This is on the just off the highway. It's in Abu Dhabi, but on the way back to Dubai. Colloquially referred to as the Durham building, because it has a resemblance to a Durham coin. So that's like that would be the equivalent of a loonie. It's actually worth about 27 cents. So that building is referred to as the Durham. On the left, there I'm at a resort past the city of Abu Dhabi, about another 2 hours, called Mirfa, where we had a weekend stay. And what I'm actually doing there, since I'm wearing a big orange shirt, is I'm recreating a little shot of Zero Mostel from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And if you've seen that movie, you might remember that little shot. That was my intent anyway. This is my friend Neil Abrams. I went to high school with Neil, and then we went our separate ways after high school. And completely unbeknownst to me, he had ended up as the head of racing, is his title, for the Emirates Equestrian Federation. So the Emirates Equestrian Federation basically manages all the racetracks and manages the stables that belong to the royal families across the UAE and their properties in England and Belgium and everywhere else. And so on the org chart for the Emirates Equestrian Federation, above Neil, everybody is His Highness or Her Highness so-and-so. So he's pretty much the top executive for horse racing in the UAE. And I mean, like this was the goof that I sat next to in English class in grade 11. And I couldn't believe it. So we hooked up through a mutual friend on Facebook. Oh gosh, probably 6 years ago. And yeah, 2012, I think, actually 2012, I was heading down to Abu Dhabi, and I saw on Neil's Facebook post that he was in Abu Dhabi. And so we got together. And this particular occasion, I had just come back from a visit home, and I brought him some maple syrup. So he was happy to receive the maple syrup. So he's done very well. Top hat and tails at Ascot. This is a grand mosque in the city of Fujairah on the East Coast. Just to show you another another city, another area. If you recall the map that I had up earlier, and I'm going to try to switch to that map. There we go. If you can see where Abu Dhabi and Fujairah are, most of the oil, as I mentioned earlier, is produced in Abu Dhabi. Most of the other Emirates, including Dubai, do not actually have very much oil. Their oil has almost been exhausted. The main transport for oil from Abu Dhabi is by tanker, so it has to go north up into the Persian Gulf, east through the Strait of Hormuz between Oman and Iran, which is both logistically and politically difficult, and then into the Indian Ocean through the Gulf of Oman and off to the world. But over the last few years, what they've done is they've built pipelines that go directly across the desert and over the mountains from Abu Dhabi to Fujairah, and then develop deep water port facilities in Fujairah, which take days off the tanker trip and avoid the Strait of Hormuz. So as well, it's transferred a lot of wealth from Abu Dhabi over to Fujairah. So I'll go back to my other slide. So this is a shot of the city of Fujairah. And here's just an indication of this is some of the housing developments that are going up to accommodate the new, the influx of workers. There's hundreds and hundreds of large oil storage tanks and the deep water port facilities to handle the oil that's coming across on the pipelines. So actually, very, very smart bit of development. This is a 19th century fort. There's quite a few of these dotted around the mountain areas. Just a nice picture. Nothing remarkable about it. It's really no different than visiting, say Fort Henry here in Kingston, in that it's basically just fortified walls from 120, 150 years ago. One thing that's really interesting around Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and everywhere I went in the UAE is if there's a traffic circle or an embankment, it's decorated. It's not just left bare or just grassed over. So in this case, these giant barracudas welcome you to one of the traffic circles in Fujairah. This is another one on the way there. There's another one that has giant like oil vases. And with this, I will say good evening, although this is actually a sunrise over the Gulf of Oman in Fujairah, and that's our trip around the UAE and my presentation of life in Dubai.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions that are outstanding.
Okay.
Near the beginning of your talk, Peter, you were talking about the excellent quality of healthcare that you received and how fast it was, and that you got to see expert specialists on the same day that you called.
Yes.
Raj Krishnan is asking, are the basic doctors, specialists, surgeries, hospital visits covered? Like, what about drug coverage and so on?
My understanding is this. I was covered by a health plan from my employer, and so it was not the base level. So it really depends on who are you. If you're a local, so you're a native Arab to the UAE, which is only about 12% of the population, by the way, then all of your needs are covered. If you're an expat worker, it depends. Are you an executive from the West, which is essentially what I was, or are you a laborer from Pakistan working for a construction company? You're not going to get the same deals, right? you're not going to get the same levels of coverage. Your employer is responsible for your health and safety, but that laborer from a construction company, it would not be going to the same hospital that I went to. From what I understand, the public hospitals are not up to what we would expect as a standard of care here. But in terms of prescription coverage and whatever, that would depend on what kind of plan you have from your employer.
Okay. So it's like two-tier healthcare, only worse.
Well, it's actually three, because what happens is the locals, if they require long-term care, or they have some particular surgery that they need, they're either going to go to the UK. I mean, we're talking richer people here. They're either going to go to the UK, to a hospital there, or Germany, or quite often to Thailand. Thailand has a big medical industry that where people will come in and receive expert levels of care at much cheaper prices than they would if they were going to the UK. It really, I mean, there is the local public hospitals. They are what they are, and then the level of care that you receive will really depend on how much insurance you have. I'll give you an example. When I had my spinal surgery, it was all covered by, and my shoulder surgery, it was all covered by the insurance that I had. When one of my coworkers, very nice young man from Pakistan, working for the same company, he had a problem in his lower back. So essentially the same, I think it was even the same doctor that he was referred to. The insurance company offered to him, instead of paying for the surgery in Dubai, they would send him home to Pakistan for a month, cover his salary, cover his travel, and pay for his surgery to take place in Pakistan. To try and entice him to take that deal, they included, we're going to cover your salary and you cover your travel and everything else. So it was actually cheaper for that insurance company to have the surgery done at a Pakistani hospital and cover all those additional costs than to pay the probably $20,000-$25,000 that it would have cost them to do it in the Medcare hospital. He refused. He said, "No, I'm going to have it here in Dubai." Yeah. So it's insurance industry is what it is, right? They're no different anywhere in the world. They're not in it for your best interests.
Okay, before I go on to
my apologies to any insurance salesman in the audience, but that's just the way I see it.
Before I go on to the next one, I'll just mention from Liz Blight. She says, "Great talk, Peter. Interesting as always. So nice to see and hear you again."
Thank you, Liz.
You have a friend there, okay?
Liz actually was the person that first invited me to speak to Mensa in 2002 at the Toronto RG.
Going back. And Tony Azrillin.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, he says after you showed all the malls, he was saying that it's a bleak place of too much money for a tiny, undeserving, original population. Meanwhile, most Arabs live in desperate poverty.
Well, that's kind of a blanket statement that I don't know that I agree with. But also, most of that retail is not intended for the locals, because the locals make up a very small proportion of the public that would be going through those malls. About 60% of the population of Dubai come from India and Pakistan. So most of the customers going through there are from India, Pakistan, China, and a lot of regional visitors from. There's a lot of Omanis that make the trip over from Muscat, for example, to shop in Dubai. So I'm not going to touch the political aspects of what you said, but it's very much a cosmopolitan city in terms of why it's a business hub in the first place. The reason it's a business hub and a retail hub and media, communications, and the other businesses that have grown up is that when the UAE was first imagined, the fellow that was Sheikh of Dubai at the time, Sheikh Rashid, realized that that the party was not going to last forever. They had lots of oil. Everything was going great at that time. He said something. He's famously quoted as saying something like, "My father rode a camel. My grandfather rode a camel. I drive a Land Rover. My son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel." In other words, unless they switched from an oil-based economy, it was not going to last more than 1 or 2 generations. And that has come true. Most of the economy of Dubai is not based on oil. Of course, the economy of the UAE, driven by Abu Dhabi, is primarily based on oil and gas. But all of this real estate development, retail development, business development that's all taken place in the last 30 years was really an extension of Sheikh Rashid's vision. Is it a nice place? It depends on your perspective. Of course, there's a lot of poor people behind those rich people. For every rich person, there's 100 poor guys that are living in labor camps and are bussed in to work on construction projects and then bust out when the sun goes down. A lot of people are blind to that, but we were doing fire training programs for all of those laborers in the buses. So, we were pretty much exposed to the underbelly of Dubai as well. It's difficult to put a Canadian perspective on it, which I wrestled with for quite a while, because the Filipinos working in the restaurants making $800, maybe $1,000 a month, and sleeping 16 to an apartment, are actually glad to be there and send whatever is left over at the end of the month home as a remittance to Philippines, or to Bangladesh, or to Pakistan, or to South Sudan, or wherever they're from. To me, that doesn't necessarily make it right that these people are underpaid grossly, but you have to accept that it's a new society. The Gulf Arab Society has really only existed for 60 years maximum, not even, and kind of put your expectations on their social development in that time scale.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a moment, Peter. We are still discussing.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm just going to invite you to stop sharing your screen so we can see you. There you are.
Hello.
Hello. So there's a wonderful comment from Eric, a question from Eric Matto.
Okay.
Many stories on the news about spectacular high-rise fires. Do you think you made a difference in improving that situation?
On the large scale, no. On a local scale, to a certain extent, yes. Not with any of the work that I did there, in recent years. But the young men that I trained in the late '90s in Toronto, all now are at the rank of colonel. So there's essentially an entire layer of the command of Dubai Civil Defense that were my students. A number of them were in command roles at some of those high-rise fires. The Dubai Marina fire, 2 there, and the most well-known one, which was at the Address Hotel, which took place while I was in a dentist's chair in Mississauga, and my phone was going crazy. And the dental hygienist was saying, "Do you need to answer that?" And I said, "No, I can answer it in an hour." Everybody's calling me, "What's going on in Dubai? What's going on in Dubai?" And I'm saying, "I don't know what's going on in Dubai." In that regard, yeah, I had an effect in that it was my students that were involved in fighting the fire. The fact that those fires shouldn't have happened, that those buildings should not have been built that way, that's a larger problem. And just to put everything in perspective, they got lucky a number of times. A lot of the fires that you heard about that happened in Dubai did not happen in Dubai. See, what happens if anything happens anywhere in that region, people think, "Oh, that was Dubai." But some of the fires were in Ajman, which was another emirate. Some of them were in other countries that were in the region. Similar fires have happened in France, in Eastern Europe, but as far as the ones that took place in the UAE, every one, I thought they dodged a bullet. There could have been dozens or even hundreds of people killed, but just because of circumstances. For example, the one at the Address Hotel took place at around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on New Year's Eve. Well, everybody's already out of the hotel. If it had taken place 6 hours later, when everybody was sleeping in the hotel, it would have been a large loss of life. So where did the large loss of life take place with external flammable cladding fires? In the UK, right? The Grenfell fire. So it's not a problem that's exclusive to Dubai or exclusive to the UAE. It's a fire problem in jurisdictions which have allowed unsafe construction. Did I have a difference? Only in the fact that some of my students were there, but there is still a problem. It will happen again. It may happen again in other countries as well.
I'm just unmuting everybody.
Yep.
I clicked on ask to allow to unmute. Some people have chosen to unmute, some of them have not. So if you're having trouble, you can let me know in the Q&A box. But for those of you who did unmute, you can carry on your conversation now by speaking.
Have we dealt with all of the written questions?
Actually, I have a comment.
Okay.
It's kind of related to what you've been saying already, though. And that is, I read a book about the growth of Dubai, and basically the entire city was built from the sand. Just there was the sand, there was the water, there was nothing. It was built, all the high rises and everything, over about a 30-year period. Just immediately.
That's a little abbreviated, but yes, essentially. If you look at pictures of Dubai from the late 90s, even, it's a fraction of what's there now. If you look at pictures of Dubai prior to the Federation of the UAE in 1971, you'd find even less. So yes, it grew up very quickly, and there's a lot of things that weren't done that should have been done. For example, now I'm about to say something, but this is across the whole Middle East. They built this entire city, and there's no street addresses. So the building I lived in I can't tell you what street I was on, and I can't tell you what the address was. I just know that the building was called Silicon Gates 1. So I would get in a taxi somewhere in another part of Dubai, and I say, we're going to Silicon Oasis, Silicon Gates 1. And if the driver didn't know where Silicon Gates 1 is, I'd give him another landmark. And I'd say, it's across the roundabout from Choitrum's department store. Oh, okay. And then he would know where to go. So everything was done by landmarks. Imagine you're trying to report a fire, you know, from my professional perspective. You're trying to report a fire, and you don't know the address of the building, and the fire department on the end of the line doesn't have an address for the building because the building doesn't have an address. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. If you're going to build a city, you're going to lay out the streets, number the buildings, give names to the streets, but that's not the way the Middle East was developed. Yeah.
The book was also saying that because it, or maybe not because of, but because it was built so quickly, they lagged behind on their social and moral infrastructure. So that there were a lot of people there with who were getting very used to having a lot of money, and they were being completely irresponsible in their relations to other people and so on. And there could be some horrific incidents where somebody might go off the balcony in a high rise, and stories of that nature.
I don't know about any particular incidents like that, but the thing that I found in following the news and other things, not just in Dubai but around the Gulf, is that yes, there are a lot of wealthy people who feel very entitled and who will treat others, particularly their servants who might be coming from other countries, very, very poorly, like essentially slaves or property. However, it's not always the locals that are doing that. Sometimes it will be rich Indians living in Dubai who treat poor Indians badly, or rich people from other cultures completely living in Dubai who feel that they are entitled because they're rich or because they have a certain status in their home country. So yes, there are laws in place, for example, that say if you employ domestic staff, you know, your maids, your nannies, your gardener, or whatever, you're not allowed to confiscate their passport. They have to have a certain number of days off, and all this other stuff. Well, the employers will just go ahead and confiscate their passport, and they'll you know, not allow them any days off in some cases. And until those people somehow manage to make an official complaint, these situations will not be addressed. Well, I've got firsthand accounts from other people who were treated that exact same way in Hong Kong or in Kuala Lumpur or in Taiwan when they were working there as domestics. So it's not a problem that's exclusive to Dubai or the UAE. It's a social problem that is global. I'm recalling MP or MPP from Brampton who was charged with similar things for the way her domestic staff were treated. So it's not even a non-Canadian problem. It's a social problem involving people that don't know how to play well in the sandbox.
And my last comment from the reading was that the people at the top in Dubai were contacting cultural artists and cultural organizations and asking them to come in and perform, not because they really wanted to have a rich culture, but because they wanted to have that veneer of cultural respectability that would you know, give them more credibility.
Well, I don't know about that. There's certainly a lot of there's always a lot of cultural events taking place, but they're usually there demanded by the audience. Like for example, I attended some concerts of classical Indian music that were very, very interesting. But of course, there's a large Indian expat population there that would demand and create an audience for that type of culture, for that type of cultural expression. So I don't know. It again certainly sounds like something that rich people do, not necessarily just there. And you know, I went to jazz clubs, particularly in Abu Dhabi, which catered to European and Western tastes. I went to I said the classical Indian. I went to a Filipino concert. Oh gosh, I can't remember her name. She's like the famous Filipino Broadway star, one of the original Miss Saigon. Can't remember her name.
Leah Salonga.
That's it. Thank you, Leah Salonga. Great show, and of course that audience was full of Filipino expats. So there's a wide cultural expression. The motivation for it being there, to me, I think it was mostly driven by commercial demand.
Can I ask you about while you were working there?
Yeah.
Did you, in your professional experience, encounter any women who were on your level, on your in terms of hierarchy in the business establishment, or was your work all with men?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to answer that several ways. The company I work for was the executives were all male, with the I guess the exception being the HR director was an Egyptian woman. The client that we worked for, which was Dubai Civil Defense, essentially the Dubai Fire Department, was almost exclusively male. No female firefighters like we have in the West, and I don't expect that that's going to happen anytime soon. I proposed in a meeting, just kind of floated a balloon, that if you want to create jobs for your local young women, then why not flesh out your fire prevention staff, which was something they really needed to do anyway. They didn't have a big focus on inspection and prevention. I said, why not start training some of these young women to be fire inspectors? And you know, using Toronto's ratios, you could probably get 300 to 400 full-time positions, and in order to adequately be doing fire prevention across Dubai. And again, that was just a conversation. But I find that Abu Dhabi is a little further ahead that way, particularly with respect to the police. They've got a number of women in the Abu Dhabi police force that are you know, dealing in traffic and public education and other areas like that. Certainly in the military, they have women in the military. There's one particular fighter pilot.
Abu Dhabi.
Well, that would be the UAE. The military is federal. There's one particular female fighter pilot that actually kind of became a little bit of a celebrity when she was involved in the fight against ISIS. So she's kind of being held up as a role model for women in government service. The role of women in their society is not what it is here, but it's not what people stereotypically assume either. It's not Saudi Arabia, it's not Iran. So the there's a lot of local women involved in business and in different government positions, not in leadership. Again, you're dealing with a society that's only really been there and only had resources and money for 2 generations. It will take time.
Theodore Nichita wants to say it's an excellent presentation, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, it was really good. Thanks.
Thanks, whoever that was.
Yeah, that was Eldor.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was very good, Peter.
Thanks, Tony. I can't wait to see you guys again one of these days.
Yeah, it was good.
It's difficult. There's no real Mensa presence here in Kingston, and I guess the closest branch where things happen would be in Ottawa. 2 hours from Ottawa, 3 hours from Toronto. So, but I'm hoping when the world comes back that I can see some of you people face to face again.
Peter, I'd like to formally thank you at this point, but that doesn't mean we have to stop talking afterwards.
Yeah, I got nothing to do. I'm here.
On behalf of Toronto Mensa, Peter, accept our thanks for your detailed presentation. You truly made the most of your time in Dubai, and we are the richer for having shared in your experience. We'd like to present you with a gift as a sign of our appreciation. But since this is a virtual environment, you have to pretend that I'm handing it to you.
I will pretend to receive it. Thank you.
And in fact, it's on its way to you in the mail.
Thanks very much.
If anyone else has any more comments or questions, by all means.
One of the things that I didn't include, and really we just had to, Kathleen and I had to trim some stuff in terms of time, was, I mentioned in terms of the map, how close it is from the UAE to places like India, Turkey, Jordan, and I ended up taking a number of vacations that would be anywhere from like a long weekend to a week or two around the region, and the different experiences that you can have really just depends on how much money you want to spend. Like, for example, some of my friends would go to some really nice resorts in Madagascar or Mauritius, which are like Mauritius is almost an antipode to Toronto. So it's about as far as you can go, but it's like 6-hour flight, 7-hour flight from Dubai. That's great. I had a week where I had like only really about a week's notice that our company was going to close for the week of Eid, and I thought, well, where am I going to go? I just want to get out of here because it was September. It was hot. It had been hot for several months. So I got on a plane. I got a cheap flight to Goa in India, and never been to India before. And I thought, I don't want to tour around and get exhausted and look at buildings. I just want to lay on the beach, which is something I've never done before. I always go and explore someplace, and I had a great time doing nothing other than winning a bunch of money playing blackjack at the casino. But I just relaxed on the beach in Goa in the rain for 5 or 6 days and ate amazing food. I went to the Republic of Georgia. And somebody mentioned The Amazing Race earlier. One of the reasons I wanted to go there because I saw it on The Amazing Race. All the things they did on The Amazing Race, I did in Tbilisi and the area around Georgia, including visiting Joseph Stalin's hometown. Incredible country, very inexpensive, architecture and culture that go back, couple thousand years. Great local winemaking. I went to East Africa twice, to Zanzibar and to the Seychelles. Again, difficult places to get to from Canada. Eric, I know you went to Tanzania and Zanzibar, but it's a whole lot easier when it's only a 3-hour flight.
Yeah, I've been to Georgia.
Yeah, I thought you
went
had.
on a hiking trip.
Yeah.
To Georgia and Armenia, and that was really those were fascinating countries.
Yeah, yeah. The hills outside of Tbilisi have caves in them that have been inhabited for 4,000 years. It's and then if you go to the Black Sea side, which I didn't, there's Roman ruins and everything there. So there's a lot to do. I have a couple of regrets. One is that I didn't just take a weekend and go to Jordan, because I had a number of colleagues that were from Jordan, and they were saying, no, you have to go to Jordan, and to see Petra, and to see some of the other areas around there. And I didn't go to Turkey. I didn't go to Egypt, although I don't like going places unless I'm going to feel safe. And Sri Lanka was the other one where I didn't get to. Some friends, a number of friends, had gone there and done some eco tours in Sri Lanka. So you know what? They will all be there. I'll have another chance someday. But it's one of the advantages of living in the UAE is that all those places are really just a few hours away. And if you want to go to Europe, it's the same distance from here to Hamburg or Paris as it is from the UAE to Hamburg or Paris. And I got to Hamburg as well. But that was business travel. Yeah. Anything else anybody wants to talk about?